Okay. Okay, I think we're on and I think we're recording. So hopefully I can share this at a future time for people who are struggling with pain, because when that happens, it's extremely detrimental for the quality of your life, for your mental health, for your function, for your activity. And to give you a little backstory to understand where I'm at, I have dealt with for over at least 15 years or more back pain. So I'm very, very small in structure, and for 25 years I've worked in strength and conditioning with really big athletes and lots of weights. So in a way, my job has been heavy lifting on a day-to-day basis. And it's involved demonstrating exercises and movements at times when I'm not warmed up and I'm cold. And I've also worked in factory work and had children. And so between all of these things, it's caused some damage to my back. I have L4, L5, and L5S1 compressed discs, and I get protrusions, disc protrusions, sometimes to one side affecting the nerves and sometimes to the other side. And I've had 2 MRIs spanned out over the years. I've had an EMG, and I've seen spine surgeons and a number of different things. And I also have a master's degree in lumbar spine kinematics. So all of these combined together, I know how to manage my pain with exercise. I know how to do the exercises. I have an inversion table in my house. I'm an athletic therapist by trade as well as a strength coach. So I have all of this repertoire of information and help. But at the same time, there are times where I have major flare-ups, and there's problems with a flare-up, and there have been such intense problems that over the time that these 2 discs have been compressed, it's caused nerve damage. And nerve damage can be a very cover term, but the way one surgeon described it to me is when I had an EMG, and they could tell that the nerves were not conducting the way that they should. The way it was described to me is that if there is 100% of nerve conduction, I have about 70%. So what it's caused for me is an inability to run for a long period of time. And I used to be a competitive runner, and I compete in all sorts of races every summer. So it's very challenging for me to deal with that. And at the same time, with that lack of nerve conduction or that nerve damage, it creates other functional difficulties. So my big toe doesn't raise up the way it normally would or used to. And this nerve damage as well causes gait changes. So not only am I trying to mitigate that, but then there's the pain that comes with the pressure on the nerve when there is a disc protruded. When there's a pressure on the nerve, that can be extremely painful as well. So between nerve damage, loss of function, flare-ups, then these are all things that a lot of people deal with. Most people will not get through their lifetime without some sort of back injury or without some sort of back pain. And even if people have disc damage, it doesn't mean that it's the kiss of death and they can never get back to certain things. There's tons of things that I do that most people with the type of injuries that I have don't do because they're unable to. So I'm going to tell you how I manage having such a structural injury in my back and how I can make it through that and deal with flare-ups or deal with inflammation that happens with these disc injuries. So first of all, like I said, this started over 15 years ago. And what it presents me with is typically I may get back pain. I may get shooting pain in my back. I may get aching pain in my back. I may have no back pain symptoms. It may be in my butt or my hip, or it may shoot down my leg, or I may not be able to pick my foot up, or I may not be able to run, but everything feels normal. So there's such a wide range of what goes on with my back, and it's all related to my discs and my back and how it affects the nerves. So whether it's the back pain, the shooting pain, the aching pain, the sciatic pain down the butt or the hip, the hip aching, the toe aching, the lack of ability to pick the foot up, the no pain but inability to run. There are so many different things that I'll be presented with this type of injury. And those don't happen typically all at once. It's usually one of those things. And if it's really, really bad, I might have to lie on my back and, deal with shooting pain or things like that. So I have only taken a Tylenol, I would say 2 times in the last 3 years because of what I've been able to do with oils. So in the time that I've been using oils, I can use the oils to do so much more to deal with inflammation, to deal with shooting pain, sharp pain, aching pain, all of those things than I ever had before oil. So my pre-oil life would have been a Celebrex, a Robaxacet, whatever I could find. I had a physio who worked in my gym. I had surgeons. I had anybody I could get whatever I needed from. But I would have some sort of pain medication that I would avoid taking unless I absolutely needed it. But I would have to take that at some points when it got bad. So now, post oil, since I've been using oils in the last 3.5 years, almost 4 years, now I have other options. So I'm going to go through what those options are. Number one, first and foremost, one of the biggest things that allows me to recover and bounce back from a flare-up really quickly is going to be this guy right here. This is your Lifelong Vitality Pack. This has been unbelievably helpful in having overall less inflammation, recover more quickly from any sort of injury, whether it's my back or something else that's come along the way. So I plan out my vitamins with one of these guys. Little pill pack, easy peasy, because I don't want to forget to take them. I'm so anal about that I just came back from a workation that I pack my vitamins and make sure they're all laid out when I go. So that is a must when it comes to my back pain or any of the hip pain and the other things that I get. The reason that this topic is right here for me is because I just came back from travel. When I'm sleeping in different beds, I'm in hotels, I'm in vehicles, including buses and different cars and airplanes. So sitting, traveling, changing, those are all the catalysts that flare my back up. So all of those things end up being what brought this to my mind as a topic for today. So the vitamins are number one. Secondly, if I know I'm at a susceptible time, I'm going to tell you some of the other things that I'll take. And this is DDR Prime. This is one of the other things that I'll take, and it is it's your DNA recovery system. So DDR Prime stands for Damaged DNA Recovery. And it's a blend of oils. I'm going to tell you what's in here. We've got frankincense, wild orange, litsea, thyme, clove, summer savory, niaouli, and lemongrass. And these oils are very, very high in antioxidant potential, cell recovery, rejuvenation, all of those things. These oils help the cells rejuvenate. That's the kind of thing that I want when I know I'm in an inflamed state. So something like a position, or holding that position for a long time, or I moved funny. For me, I flared it up on this vacation because I was jumping in the waves with my daughter, and she's bigger and heavier than she was when she was 3. She's 8 now. So jumping, and she's jerking me around, and the wave is smashing into me, and it caused a little pull, and it was something that gave me a flare up. So things like this. So I'm taking this when I travel. When I go to bed at night, that's one of the times where my back can keep me from sleeping, because maybe it's achy by that point from all the things I've done in the day, whether it's sitting, standing, working in the gym, moving around, something might have flared it up. And sometimes I can't predict what it would be. So this guy is my best friend. Deep Blue is going to be on my back. And if it's really bad, I'm going to go with the Deep Blue oil, and then I'm going to layer the Deep Blue rub on top. That's what I'm going to do if I'm having trouble sleeping. Another thing that I'll layer, or I'll use this if it's not quite as intense, and this is Aroma Touch. And I love this when my massage therapist uses this on me, but this has oils like marjoram in it. These are also very good anti-inflammatory oils. but can be analgesic as well. And the deep blue rub has things like wintergreen, camphor, oils that will be anti-inflammatory when it absorbs into your skin and also act as an analgesic. So I'll layer these. I'll use the Aroma Touch. I'll use the deep blue. I might use the deep blue oil and then the deep blue rub on top. But those are only, I'll layer that stuff if it's a really bad situation. But if it's not so bad, then I'll just use the deep blue rub because it's very, very effective. So those are the things I'll use topically when I am going to bed and I'm aching that way. So lastly, when I mentioned all of those things like Celebrex or Tylenol 2s, Tylenol 3s, voltarin, I used to be prescribed voltarin because my back was so bad, and voltarin is awful on your intestines. You don't want to be taking that for a long period of time. So internally, what would I replace as those painkillers? And I'm going to show you what I would replace there. Now, a real helpful go-to for me has been a combination of this is a veggie cap, so I put into the veggie cap these oils, a combination of frankincense, Siberian fir, and copaiba. So all of these are very anti-inflammatory in nature. Siberian fir is one of the only ones you can take internally. Frankincense is that cell rejuvenator, very anti-inflammatory as well. And copaiba is very much like what you would find as an effect from oils like a CBD oil. So copaiba affects what are called the CB2 receptors, and they tend to be the body receptors. So what this does is it breaks that pain signaling to your brain. And that's what copaiba does. Very much like if you've ever thought about taking a CBD oil for pain or back pain, copaiba can act that way. So those three would be three. And I traveled with these on this trip because I was worried that if I did have a flare-up, I don't even buy Tylenol or Advil anymore. So I was worried that if I did have a flare-up, that I wanted an option like this. So I would do 2 drops of Siberian fir, 2 drops of frankincense, and 2 drops of copaiba in something like this. I would take that twice a day if I was in some significant pain and have that as a go-to. Now there's a different combination, a different pain little balm combination that is more recent that I haven't used yet because I haven't had to. But I'm going to tell you about it because these oils are so powerful. And what they are is a combination of turmeric. You've probably heard of turmeric because the active anti-inflammatory in turmeric is called curcumin. And this is a little bit different. Well, it's a lot different than what you would take as the powder turmeric or the root itself. This allows you to absorb the active parts of the turmeric more because it's from the oil and it crosses our gut membrane more easily. So we've got some options here with turmeric. And what this pain balm is turmeric back to the CBD type oil, which is the CB receptor 2 oil, copaiba. So turmeric, copaiba, an oil called pink pepper. So really, really good oil here. Another very high anti-inflammatory oil. And this is a nutritive oil, and it's called yarrow palm. And it's from a yarrow, it's yarrow oil, but then palm is from the pomegranate seed. So you're talking basically high level antioxidant oils. So you have yarrow palm, copaiba, turmeric, and pink pepper. Those 4 oils, 2 drops of each in a veggie cap, and taking that internally. So that would be my second go-to, which I haven't tried yet, but that has been recommended highly from other people who have dealt with pain. And the thing when it comes to pain is everybody's chemistry is different, everybody's body is different. I may stick with the frankincense, copaiba, and Siberian fir because it happens to work for me. But if I found it wasn't, or I needed something that was a little different, or I needed to try something different, then I might try the other option that I gave you. So just to recap there, when it comes to your overall health, keeping all of the nutrients in your body and keeping your body functioning at its best, you want your cellular complex, your multivitamin, and your fish oil. And that is your LLV, your lifelong vitality kit. So those are just your basic foundational health basics. You don't do this because you have pain. You do this because you want your best health. Everybody needs some level of multivitamin. Everybody benefits from fish oil, and the cellular complex is key for recovery and rejuvenation of your cells, but also proper cell death as they turn over. And then that is your foundation. This ends up being your topical work as you're dealing with something like a flare-up, like I have. And then when you're really dealing with a lot of pain, then you've got some of the internal oils you can take. Now, I can easily say I haven't had to take a veggie cap of the oils themselves for several months, but I've had some bouts of nerve pain and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a personal topic, so I don't know how much more to go into, I should say. But I do want you to know that there are options. It's worth a try. It takes a little more patience to figure out versus taking your Celebrex and taking your Tylenol 3s and whatnot. I've been down that route. I know what it's like. The mechanics of my back are not something that's going to change. The likelihood of me having more flare-ups is very high, but I can manage it because now I have tools to manage pain that are good for me instead of something that is bad for my intestines, bad for my body, chemical absorbs into my body. I don't want any of that. So I've got options now that are better. So I'm trying to record this in case people in pain from back pain, it's a really awful thing. It stops everything. It stops work. It stops family life. It causes mental angst and anxiety because you're dealing with chronic pain. And I've been there. I've been through it. I have ways to manage it. So if you need to share this, I'm trying to record it and make sure that you have an option to share with anyone that you need. So I hope that helps for your Oil Power Tuesday. I feel a little foggy. I'm jet lagged and back from being on a workation for the week, and but really happy that I can share this with you. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some ideas. Message me if you have more questions, and have a fantastic day. Mwah.